this is Harrison Cho, CEO from the Comake Corporation, and I'm really happy to be with the Reimagine 2020 here.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Reimagine 2020, the Halloween edition of Tales from the Crypto. This is our fourth event within the Reimagine series of conferences. I'll be your host today, Adam from the MouseBelt team. If you missed out on any of our past three events, feel free to visit the Reimagine 2020 website at ri2020.io for full access to over 150 interviews from some of your favorite projects and individuals in the space. Our main goal is pretty simple. It's to talk shop. It's to discuss, with some of the top projects and leaders in this industry, to shed light and help us understand blockchain's real impact and innovation, advancements towards Web 3.0, and the decentralized infrastructure of our future. So without further ado, we have a new guest in the house. Very excited to have Harrison join us from Comake. How you doing, Harrison? Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, this is Harrison. I'm really happy to join you guys.
Yeah, awesome. So, we've been working with some of your colleagues here and you're based out in Korea. Talk to me about your journey. I've been having tons of interviews the last 2 weeks and even in the past conferences, and everybody has a unique story, a different journey, how they got into blockchain. Your project's a little bit of blockchain, a little bit of AI, and kind of in legal tech, but we'll get into that shortly. Before that, give me a little bit of background of who you are, and then how did you come across Bitcoin or blockchain, to where you're at today?
All right. Let me actually start up from who I am. I am Harrison Cho, and I moved to the United States when I was 16, and then graduated my high school and University of Texas at Austin, and came back to Korea. Since the University of Texas at Austin really becomes the big city for the startups, and I was really curious about, making up my own business and start up my own. But, it was kind of way too risky for startup right off the graduate from university. So I kind of went to this big company called LG Electronics, and then I worked there for 8 to 10 years. So, and I got some working experience out of it. And then I kind of looked through the market and then found out that, what I really interested in is that two-part. So I actually have the engineering background. So I really have this new tech. I really interested in new technologies out there. And then, but most two new technologies that I'm curious of is the AI and blockchain, as just Adam mentioned earlier. And then, but interesting doesn't really match up with the market. So I have to find out what kind of market that I really need to penetrate and really fits with me. So what I actually picked out was that one of my mentor from my University of Texas at Austin is the lawyer from one of the biggest law firm in Korea called BLK, and he actually came out of the company and then he started up this new company on his own. And he's a lawyer, and then he also has the interest in technology, so he would like to combine these two term, legal and the technology, and then that becomes the legal tech. But there's the various terms of the legal tech, but where we actually need to penetrate in the market, and then we picked out this term called contract. Contract is the difficult term for everyone, because everyone doesn't really have have some of the sense on the legal term, but when they actually looking at this contract paper, it's really difficult because they don't have the professional knowledge on it. That's why we would like to provide this service so everyone can actually come into yeah, feel familiar, and then you use this term core contract really easily. So with the comfortableness in their, comfy in their mind. So
And what year is this? What
it was
year?
year of 2018, so
Okay.
2.5 years ago.
So were you already familiar from school or on your own regarding blockchain technology?
Uh, from my work experience, so past work experience, I was in charge of this two technology team. So team members are, one is the from AI team, the other was the blockchain, and then with the blockchain, we actually created this new application on Android and iOS called O2O service based on the blockchain service, which is the O2O is a offline to online service. So when we actually order, uh, like let's say coffee, Starbucks coffee, um, Sta Starbucks Korea actually started this business as a first time in Korea, and then it really hits the market, and then it was really booming up the market. So I kind of wanted to um, match up this two term O2 and the blockchain technology because it really fits up, because when people is or coffee market is really booming up in everywhere. So I according to the market, it's like more than 100 million coffees are consumed every day. So even in Korea, a lot of like more than million coffees are really consumed every day. So we really think that if we can actually track out this every transaction of the coffee merchandise and how they are actually making out this service and stuff like that. So we can actually match that up with the blockchain technology. We can actually make some sort of the blockchain ecosystem working out. So that was where I first got the idea and then got some knowledge from the blockchain. And then, but since coffee ordering system really happens a lot, and as many of you guys actually know about the blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is not really a super fast technology yet. So, but it really secures and then clear transparency is really a big term in blockchain technology. But when you actually think about the, signing the contract, it doesn't really happen a lot, but it really requires high level of the security, high level of the transparency. So the blockchain really matches up well with the contract term. That's why we really,
That's
match.
great. That's great. No, so it seems like you're really hands-on, right, with kind of blockchain and AI. And thank you for sharing your journey, right? So you go to school, you have a mentor that's kind of on the legal side. You have some work experience at the same time of managing these two teams. So let's kind of get into it, right? Like let's get into Comake. Can you share with us, at a high level, and we'll get into everything, but first do a company introduction. So you're with Comake, and how did you tell me about what you guys are working on?
All right. So we are developing this service called Comake, and Comake is an online contract platform backed by AI and blockchain technology. So when we actually created this service and developing this service, we separate out the contract process into 4 different steps. So contract composing, contract negotiating and reviewing, and e-signing and managing the contract. So put all of them into this one service called Comake. And I'd like to briefly mention about this service a little bit more detail. For composing and reviewing the service is we utilizing the AI BERT model to pre-train the Korean language, since the BERT model is really originated from the English base. We try to mingle up the senior lawyers' high-level know-how with the machine learning technology, so user can easily get review result from the contract. And when we actually throw in the contract into our system, then the system will give you what kind of risk you guys actually have, and what if the AI system recommends you to get another review from real lawyer or not. So as it's really same as a United States and Korea, like both lawyers are really expensive guys. So if we can actually utilize our AI technology to, at least give some sort of the suggestion if this contract is really needs to get some review from the lawyer side or not, it's really gonna help a lot of the business out. So
Oh, I
it's
see.
really, yeah,
I see. And I see. So what ends up happening is, and maybe try to clarify here, you're inputting a contract that's already you're inputting a contract into the system for it to be reviewed, or are
yeah.
you or are you leveraging the templates within Comake's system? Or
Oh, we actually do both of them. So
okay.
we actually we provide like 200 or 300 different types of the contract templates for users to handle. And then if
Can they pick and choose like this contract, mix the contract if they like a little bit of both, or 10 of them?
um it's possible, because we actually opens up all the contract templates we actually have. And if user downloads, A and B contracts together, and then if they want to mix up the contract term, they can actually negotiate within the platform, and then they can actually mix this up the contract.
And what made you think of we're going to talk about everything, but what's the problem? You identified a problem, and Comake's like solving that problem, and we'll talk about the solutions you're doing.
Sure.
But what made you think of this problem? Like, have you been doing a lot of contracts yourself, and your mentor, that has helped you identify this opportunity? How did you identify the problem, and what is the problem right now? Is it just the user doesn't know how to use contracts, or you're streamlining it for sure, but what's the problem that you saw in the market?
All right. The problem is the really clear that everyone except for the lawyer has this barrier called legal barrier. So when they actually see the legal term, they feel uncomfortable. Yeah, since they don't really know the legal term, they don't really know if even if they actually sign the contract without knowing the term, they are just signing the contract itself really puts them on the really a big risk. As a company and business side, they actually have to get a review, even though they are really a small company, because a really small mistake in small company can actually risk out whole company. But everyone, especially all the CEO actually knows about that, because they are actually putting a lot of risk when they are signing the contract paper, but they cannot really review their contract every time for lawyer, because it costs a lot, especially for, small size of the business. Small size of the company cannot really afford lawyer cost and legal review cost. That's why we would like to introduce such an AI system to back in their mind. And at least we are not saying we can actually ensure and then this is safe. If you really scan out your contract through our system, your contract is safe. We can't really say that, because our AI system is not perfect, but at least point out few factors, and this really relies on our standard contract, and then according to our lawyers knowledge, based on our machine learning technology, your contract has, 1 to 3 risk points.
Yeah.
So you can actually go to the lawyer and then get the risk point out, or you can actually, take your risk on your own and then get the sign of the contract. It's your, choice.
Yeah, no, and I think that's important to note when, if you're a startup, if you're just a user of the platform or you're in business, you're right. You're taking on the risk. Like once you sign the document, that's your contract agreement, your commitment. And if you don't understand the language,
Yeah.
then, good luck. But so I want to understand like the AI side of it too. And we'll get into the blockchain and kind of like our users and target markets. But on the AI front, explain to me like it's a guidance tool. It's a tool, you're using the contract, the AI like scans it over. That's pretty cool. So like what's the process to incorporate AI, and how do you, regarding AI, for those that don't know, that are learning, this type of technology requires like constant iterations and like,
Mhm.
it's always being worked on. So how are you guys, fixing or making the AI part better? What's the flow on that?
All right. So uh, let me, I can actually explain from, I guess, basic model for how we actually, design our system. So since co-founder of my company is, as I actually told earlier, is a lawyer. He's a he has a 17 years of the lawyer experience. So he's a super senior lawyer, and then he's one of the top lawyer in Korea, and he has a lot of know-how. So as a really super level of the lawyer, when they actually looking at the contract, there's um few bullet points to talk about, and then some kind of like a frequently making mistakes. So that's what we actually called as a know-how point. And when we we actually thought of the process called, so since the machine learning process is how human is really thinking, so it's the thinking process of how human solves the problem, right? So when we are um, modeling our machine learning program, so we try to follow up the human thinking process. So when we actually so profile a lawyer, so from reading out the contract paper for the first time, and so we step by step, we profile the step by step, how they actually read out the contract and then analyze the contract and then write the report for the final report for the customer. So is and then we figured out is core 5 different steps. Starting, we call it as the FIRAC, FIRAC. So F is the fact finding. So they try to list out the fact from the contract, and then I is the issue. So they are trying to list out the issue because there should be some sort of the issues, and then we try to get the set of the big data from contract, I mean lawyers analyzing the paper one by one, and then when we filed up a lot of questions and issues out of the contract, we try to find the R, rules and the reference. Based on the rules and the reference of the back history, we try to match up the issue from the contract, and then um, original, what's that called, like backend history. And then when they really match up the rules and reference, if it doesn't really work out for the real terminology, then we try to bullet out and then highlight that this is the issue, so you actually need to come back to look it out. And next time is the A and C is the what was the A? we try to find out analyze our rules and reference by, so analyze the problem and then try to conclude and try to write out the final report for the customer. So we try to follow up the step-by-step process, and then we program our machine learning model to, you know, write up the one by one, step by step.
How long have you been doing this for? How long has Comake been around?
Probably 1.5 years now. 1.5 years now for the AI part.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked, which we'll get into the blockchain, but the AI, it's just interesting because it takes time, and it's an evolution of the training, you know, the inputs, you know, the code that you do, and it's ever evolving, right? It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And then in AI field, it's really important to stack up your big data, and then big data is your weapon for your big data, especially AI company. And we are probably the first company who released such a AI contract analyzing system. So a lot of companies are utilizing our solution for free, because we kind of opened up for free because we can't really charge out according to Korean law. But because of it's free to utilize it, a lot of companies are really giving us the data for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we are really stacking up the data, and
great.
This will be actually, you know, rolls up to become and making our solution more accurate and more powerful solution.
The more the data, the better.
Yeah, it is. Exactly.
And so you know, it's interesting too, because I think your platform like is offering, as you mentioned, I think normally, you know, the service, the Comake service, in traditional world, these are like separate separate things that you have to do, right? Like write the contract, you know, or the services that are out there, you know, the contract form, you know, the contract program, you know, the execution service. It could be cumbersome, right? And like inconsistent with like contract management. And it seems like what Comake's doing is like bringing all that together into one spot, so that it's a seamless process for UI UX and like your customers or your clients, right?
It is. It is. So we try to provide everything about the contract as an all-in-one service.
Yeah. And I think that's important. And I think as technology, and you're leveraging the technology to do that, you know, so your users or your, you know, the companies, the enterprises, you know, don't have to do all these things, or it's can get quite expensive. And then it's like challenges and barriers. And if they don't, you know, follow those rules, and they just sign the contract, like the risk is on them.
It is.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I mean, you know, that's another reason why we don't really get it charged. So they don't really pay, so they're not really asking us for risk.
Yeah. Definitely. And so how does blockchain play in this then?
All right, so that was my AI part really covers up the how we are composing the contract, right? So after we composing the contract and we finish writing up the contract, right? Then we actually need to negotiate with the others and then try to sign up the contract in order to complete, right? Then when we are signing the contract, this is the really important part for e-signing service like a DocuSign. Number one e-signing service is the DocuSign, as you guys probably know about. And I actually thought that security is probably the most important thing in the e-signing service. And then if we apply, since we actually have you know, provided this contract term backed by AI technology, we can just simply put our signing system on the back so they can actually just sign up. Since they prepare the contract, they just invite the signees on it, and then they just need to make a sign it. It's not really a big technology, but even though it's not big technology, a lot of people really use it because it's really useful and a lot of time saving. And then since time is the money, so
Yeah.
in startup life, you actually need a lot of times, right? So that's why we think that e-signing service is important. But problem is the security. So in order to solve out this kind of security service, we kind of brought out this term called blockchain technology, and we utilizing this service called NFT and this non-fungible token. When we are signing when we prepare the contract, and then when user requests for the sign the contract, we mint this one of the Comake NFT, and then we put all the metadata on the NFT tokens. And then when users are actually signing on the contract, we split out. So we mint another token when user actually signs up the contract. And then when the contract is completed, we transfer one of the minted token to the signee. So they can actually have this NFT token on their wallet. So they can actually have this as some kind of validation for this contract has been proved and signed. That's our how we implemented our blockchain technology into our system.
So how many NFTs are minted? 3 or
It's depending on how many signees
I
are
see.
actually involved. So if into this contract, some of the contract is not just A and B, so there should be maybe like 3 to 4 parties can actually join this contract. So we are not really limiting the number of the tokens because a lot
Yeah.
of people can actually sign one contract, right?
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And I think, like you said, it's not that complicated in terms of kind of the technology per se. It's like how you use it, right?
Right.
And you're like a great example. There's people watching that are trying to wrap their head around blockchain, um, and AI, machine learning, IoT, right? And I think everybody thinks of Bitcoin, which is a cryptocurrency, but that's only one application of blockchain technology. And and the cool thing about this discussion is that you're showing us how you're implementing these technologies together to
Yeah.
solve a purpose, because people would just say, why not use DocuSign?
Right.
And that's all we've known. That's like Web 2.0, right? This is the decentralized future of transparency, immutability, right? The distributed ledger. So that's interesting that you put it all together, and you just put the pieces together, and this is the result, Comake, right? And how to
Yeah.
use it for verification, because I think a lot of people have tried, but they're not as successful as you at the moment, right? And what blockchain are you using?
Yeah, we are partnered up with this Asia's big company called Line, and Line is one of the dominant messenger service providing in Japan. And in Japan, it's like a WhatsApp messenger.
Yeah, yeah.
So everyone actually utilizing this Line messenger at the Japan, and then Line, you know, launched this blockchain service called Link, Link, Link. It's not, yeah. So their coin is the LN, but it's called Link, and
Yeah.
then we kind of, so we launched another service in Japan called Link Sign as well. And then we are actually working on and then developing our service in Japan for another reason. So it's our globalization for our market. And then we are operating our service in Korea and Japan, by the way. So
And
and
why? So you're operating there, so it makes total sense. How about these other blockchains? Did you explore like Ethereum or I don't know, One Chain or
yeah, we explored a lot of different services, but especially we explored the Ethereum, and also we first met up with this startup in US startup called Yosemite.
oh yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
And then we first launched our contract service with the Yosemite, with the strong partnership signed up with the Yosemite. And then since we actually need to globalize our service, and then we actually need some of the naming value. And but Ethereum actually has the lot of naming value, but because of the market doesn't really have a positive nuance about the cryptocurrencies. So we would like to partnership with the big companies like Line, since they actually have the positive branding name. So as a strategic point, we signed up a partnership with the Line blockchain developers, and then we are since Line blockchain has a close partnership, and then they are not really opening up their partnership with a lot different company, but we are one of their 8 partners, and then we are probably the only useful blockchain technology provider, because a lot of different D applications are really involving the blockchain game technology, and then we are not game technology, and then we are application utilizing in real world and then real life.
So that's interesting. So it's more of a strategic partnership, and it makes total sense. Do you have the option to, is it interoperable, or do you think down the road you would open up to another blockchain and have multiple to exchange? Because it also ties into the wallet. So
It is.
talk to me about, I guess it's a bunch of information there, but first, do you think you would open up to, are you open to other blockchains like down the road?
We are, because since we are actually targeting our service as a global service, and then when we are opening up our service, I would like to utilize my service as a global contract signing service. And then when we connect each country with our service together, then we can
That's great.
yeah, we can actually make some sort of the connecting dot, like a Steve Jobs said. So we can actually make some sort of a lot of synergy out of this connecting service. So I mean, that's another consideration point for our blockchain technology. If we can actually we can actually adopt another blockchain technology and then mingle up with different blockchain technology to one. But if we can utilize this term called NFT way, then user can actually choose which blockchains to utilize and then make their signs on their blockchain. I mean, their preference.
Yeah, so they can leverage Comake.
Yeah.
But maybe maybe they have another wallet, right? That's tied to some other blockchain. Now,
Exactly.
talk to me about like the wallet aspect of Comake. So, do you have your own wallet? Does it plug into third-party wallets?
We don't really have our own wallet, because since we are really depending our blockchain really a platform as a really blockchain network provider, like a big company, so we can actually utilize their brand name for our market penetration purposes. And that actually has a lot of meaning, because if we are not really managing our blockchain wallet by our own, then we can that's why we can actually open up our service to other blockchain provider as well, without any kind of, blocking our blocking our service to our some sort of the limitation and all that.
And so where do the NFTs go then? Like you to the what
Then
does it, yeah, where do you store that? Where's that
okay,
stored?
so since we are actually utilizing the Lime blockchain wallet, then if since right now we are only using the Lime blockchain wallet,
Yeah.
I mean Lime blockchain technology,
Mhm.
users NFT token will be issued and then transferred to Lime blockchain wallet of their own. And in their Lime blockchain wallet, they actually have a lot of different coins, but the Comake blockchain NFT will be one of the NFT they actually have on their wallet. And if
Nice.
they, yeah, so some other user may not really utilizing the Lime blockchain wallet, but they are really familiar with the like a Bitcoin or Ethereum, then Ethereum wallet can be actually provided as well.
Oh, so it's interoperable.
It is, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, but at this point,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, at this point, we are not really,
Not yet.
yeah, not yet, but we actually have our plan to open
Launch
up
that.
our,
Yeah, no,
open up
no.
our, technology to other blockchain platform as well.
And so using Line has its advantages for market share and all that. What about like the technology? And at a high level, we don't have to get into it, but at a high level, it provides like scalability and like security and all that stuff. It's very
Yeah.
high quality blockchain.
You know, at least in Asia, is one of the biggest company in Asia. So one of the like there's a company called Naver in Korea, and then it's like a Google in United States in Korea. And then this company, Naver, actually has their, child company called Line. And then they're one of the biggest company in Asia side. So their presence and then their
Is
technology level is really,
Yeah.
high in the top. So we can actually trust their technology, I guess.
And why do you think like the legal industry has been so slow to modernize and innovate? Which is good for you because you're at the forefront of it.
Mhm.
But why haven't they, tried to advance, operations and processes?
Um, there's a lot to say about it, and there's some sensitive sentences that I actually have to say, but long story in short, long story in short, um,
It's
let me.
probably labor intensive for one,
It is.
right?
I mean, like it's not. It is labor intensive, and then it's really high, barrier in between the normal people and the legal people at this legal barrier, because not a lot of people really studies about the really professional law. So they understand the public law when they are working with the people and then living their life. For example, like you can't really drive like 100 miles per hour in the street, and that's probably common sense and the common law. But when they are really looking into this trade term and then tax, and when they if let's say when they're really building a company, how they issue their stock and then their stock value, and then what kind of stock options that they can actually provide for their stock option holders. And a lot of different terms are really difficult. And then even though a lot of startups who's owning their own, I mean, who owns their business doesn't really understand about a lot of terms about stock and BOD and a lot of legal terms on their things. They probably have no understanding, but they are just doing it because people say, "Oh, you have to do it because according to law, you actually have to do ABC steps in order to provide such a stock option or get some sort of new investment from the outside VCs and all that, then oh yeah, okay, I'll do it, even though it really costs a lot. They just follow the law. But if we can actually provide such a solutions to their level, and then I think that I'm actually dreaming the business people can actually drop down this legal barrier to the really low level, not as high as what we are actually feeling as of now.
So it'll complement operations, right? Because I think what you're providing, it'll complement. You have your super lawyers, and then you have other types of, like you mentioned, maybe not the stock options like the VCs, but some of these other lower level contracts that can maybe like provide cost savings, right? Efficiency,
Oh
like
yeah.
data integrity, right? Because that's what you're providing.
Yeah. For like a lighter level of the contract template that we are providing, for example, like we say money trading contract, let's say, between C to C, so person to person. When I'm actually borrowing some money to my friend, we just like borrow them like $500, right?
Yeah.
But what if this people doesn't really pay me back? you know, you are saying, dude, you gotta pay me off and then pay me back, pay me
Yeah.
back my money. My wife will, bitch me if you don't pay me back or something like that. But within the friend or the close relationship really breaks up because they don't really have the official contract signed up before this kind of money trade has been happened. But if we can actually bring down this contract level to the real life level, I think this contract can be really what's that called? Really common term, not only for the business term, but for really a B2C level.
And which kind of leads me into like your target customers, target like profile.
Yeah.
So who is going to use Comake?
Our first target is, as you probably know, SMB, so small and medium size of the businesses. So small and medium sized business cannot really afford or would not like to afford such a legal cost because oh, I'll just take those kinds of risk on my shoulder. Yeah, I just carry on. Then they are just taking it in. But if they are not really having such a technology, I mean, if they can actually utilize our technology, they don't really have to risk themselves. And oh, they really find out really this risk whole company, then they can actually pay five to $1,000 amount of money to the lawyers and all. But at the future, I would like to bring down our target customer level to the B2C. So general customer can actually utilize our platform. And for example, like a real estate, and when I'm trying to buy this house right now, they actually have to go to the realtor and then they actually have to pay a lot of fees. But if they can actually sign up on this platform, they don't really have to pay any kind of fees on and all. So if we can actually bring down our target level to the B2C level in the future, then our target market size will be, a lot bigger, a lot
Yeah.
bigger.
No, that makes sense. And what area or region are you guys focusing right now? I know on the grand scheme of things, you want a global market. What's kind of the short term, and how do you plan to go, to market?
Um, as of now, we are operating our service in Korea, and on this beginning of October of 2020, we opened up our first global service in Japan. We call it as a link sign. And then we are targeting United States for the next time, because United States is another, really a big company for startups. So many startups can actually utilize our platform if they can afford, if they can actually, if they actually, if I can actually reach them out, I think I actually have a confidence on myself that they will be utilizing our service. But the problem is the marketing, how I can actually, penetrate into this market and then let them know there's our service. And then if they utilize our service, what kind of benefits they can actually get and stuff like that. That's why I'm here to explore my service like that.
And I think it's not even a tough sell, right? Like, you guys are coming from experience on the technology front. You're coming from not only it's not a I will build it and they will follow. You know, you have experience on the legal side too of these contracts, and those are pain points.
Yeah,
The risk, the high barrier to cost, and the product. I think you're right. I think SMBs and then startups and like these other B2Cs as well, I think is a good market to hit, because there are a lot of people that do it themselves, right? And small companies, that startups that do it themselves. And I think you're providing this solution that's better than DocuSign, because it's on chain. It's a record. It's recordable, right? You can't change it. It's immutable.
right.
It's data. It's ownership of it, and it's public. So like
Yeah.
nobody can say otherwise. Not only that, and you mentioned it earlier, security, right? Like encryption, which is very important.
There's one more thing that I would like to point out, if the time allows.
Yeah.
We
I don't
are,
have a hard cutoff.
yeah, we are actually dreaming the next generation of the contract. And then what I think of the next generation of the contract is that um, real smart contract is really happening on this side. So contract is just a piece of paper, right? Just written on, both parties' responsibilities on written on the paper, and then they just sign. So they are just promising to keep such a responsibility of both party. But as we all know, the dream of the blockchain is the smart contract. So how executing the contract is really important term. And since we moved and we transferred paper contract to the electronic, I would not like to just stop at this moment. Just, signing on the paper and then signing on the um,
Digital.
signing on this, electronically doesn't
Yeah.
really, it does gives a lot of benefit, but
That's not
if,
the that's not the evolution.
yeah, that's not the
Or
evolution.
the or sorry, that's not the innovation.
Yeah, that's not the innovation.
Yeah.
Evolution. So we would like to see real evolution is
Yeah.
happening on top of the blockchain, utilizing this smart contract technology. So if we can actually ensure, so in most of the contract, and especially in this economy, both party actually has, if one party actually do such a due diligence, then the other party pays off with the money, right? And this money really works out and then works club with the blockchain's token economy. So if we can actually apply our token economies on the blockchain, Comake blockchain ecosystem, then if one party can actually prove what they actually have done to the other party on our system, then the other party can actually pays off from their blockchain wallet automatically. And then I think that's the real future of the contract. And then that's what we call as a smart contract, the next generation of the contract.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's kind of goes into the automation, decentralization,
Exactly.
um, trustless environment.
Yeah, that's that's a good term.
Yeah, because you're operating, right? Like I'm gonna do my part, smart contract, I fulfill my obligation. On the other side, fulfill their obligation, payment is executed, and it's all good. And you're using
It is.
tokens and it's instant, but pretty quick.
It
And
is.
it's all
Yeah.
and it's transparent.
Exactly. And especially if we can actually, make this contract happening on global side, as probably all business really agrees on my mind, even though they really sign off and then my money is really prepared, in order to transfer my US dollar to the Korean won, it really takes a lot of time
Yep.
and a lot of fees because of the bank really, centralized a lot of, this money power, right? But in order to, I mean, with this decentralized money on the token economy,
Yeah.
you can actually make this money transfer in really quick time.
And how do you envision this? Is this something that you can build online? It's a smart contract platform as well, capability?
I hope so. But the big problem is the rules and regulation, right? if Even if we actually looking at the Facebook, right? They kind of failed out to launch this Libra that really hits the blockchain economy is really big because of the Trump, I guess. But that's another story. But more important thing is that if we can actually utilize this service so we can um, build up this new blockchain ecosystem on the business side, working out with their contract and then money transfer and all that, then I'm pretty sure this blockchain economy can, see another generation and then see another, this J curve on this,
And is this something that you would have to work with Line?
Um,
Like the features, the smart contract upgrades, like does it provide that already? Or is that something you would have to build yourself potentially for Lime? Like, is it a smart contract platform?
it is. It
Oh,
is the smart contract platform, and then um, as of now, Line blockchain does not really provide such a technology, and then we are, you know, kind of working on
yeah, yeah.
negotiation, and then how we can actually build up the future of the contract and future of the Line blockchain. I'm communicating with the
Great.
Line head and stuff like
Awesome. Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I think, like you said, that's the innovation part. I think right now it comes in steps, it comes in phases. You're already like further along. And how does the the region, geographic region in Japan and Korea, how are they accepting of this technology?
To be honest with you, Korea and Japan really sees the blockchain technology as a cryptocurrency, and then
Ah,
sees the really negative respects on that. So, oh, that's another,
yeah,
gambling or something like that. So, I mean, I'm trying to explain this is the, security technology built on our blockchain technology. But when we are actually seeing this smart contract system is happening, then I see the future is there. So this future is coming to this present. So if we are staying in that region, then you are actually falling behind. You actually have to see new wave. New wave comes along with the blockchain technology. That's what I'm trying to persuade and try to see really the point of it. But I guess still some time is really ticking, and then time is really, needed at the
so
market.
yeah, so it seems like it's a little bit of education, a little bit of you know understanding like the target markets, which is probably why you want to come to the US, pretty soon. Or the US is the next geographic region to penetrate, right?
It is, and but depending on the situation, how we are actually doing it, the Japan, then if the really Japanese market sees, I mean, shows a lot of statistical numbers growing a lot, then we would like to, focus on Asia market a little bit more. Yeah, so longer period of time, especially Middle Asia, like Dubai. Dubai is another, big tech hub, you know, booming up tech hub because a lot of oil monies there. Oil monies are really, a lot of startups, um, their problem is about their money and the people, right? So these two resources are all startups need, and but a lot of Dubai startups are tackling out the one problem and then just leaves out the one or two problems alone. Then really, I see Dubai is another market to go, but it's another option. But since my background and then my network are really present in United States, I would like to really, explore my business at the United States first, because that's another my hometown, right?
Yeah. No, that's important to note. But the good thing about what I take away from this discussion is just how you're leveraging the technology, and maybe because I don't think of it as crypto, right? So I don't see that. I understand that barrier in Korea and some other regions, but
It's a
I think
big
the
barrier.
product, Comake itself makes sense.
Huh.
It makes sense. It's providing a solution, a seamless solution, a great user experience. How easy is it to use Comake? Is it easy to integrate? You just log in and sign up?
It is. So we actually provide two different models at this point. One is the platform model and another is the SaaS model. So if business wants to integrate our solution into their internal system or internal group or that, we provide our module to their service and then we try to customize our service to their integration. But another form is that our platform model, if they can, everyone, even you, can actually join in to our service. Just click on your Chrome browser and then type in Comake.ai, and you can just sign up, and then you can just pick on one of the template you'd like to use, and then you can just try to make a sign on. Then that's it. That's pretty easy on my side, but we are improving our user experiences to better and better every day. Our development teams are working their ass off every day.
No, that's awesome, and I think that's important. And I think, again, when I think about your service too, it doesn't scream blockchain, right? So that's what I mean. Like, it makes sense where I log in, I operate this, I sign up, send interviews, but on the back end is blockchain.
It is,
And,
but
and that and
users
that's
cannot really feel.
exactly. And that's like critical right now for my mom, my dad, my grandparents to be able to log in and
Exactly.
use something like this, or anybody, right? You're not pinpointing like younger generation, older generation. Like, you're allowing a service that's leveraging this, but on the front end, you sign in, you pick a template, you send it over, sends it back, signs, and it's all like in one spot. Like I mentioned at the beginning, you don't have to go
Exactly.
to you don't have to go to this service, that service.
Yeah.
It's all there, which is great. So I commend you on that.
Hmm. I I think you probably needs to be the one of our evangelists in United States.
That's great. That's great. So, we're kind of running up on time here, but I do want to touch on two more things that I think are pretty important here. And one of them is like, it looks like you're using Amazon. Are you using Amazon as a storage solution?
Oh yeah, we are. So we put up our service on the Amazon and AWS actually. So Amazon Web Service is actually supporting our another security point as well. So all of our databases are on the Amazon DBMS. and our another instance service are actually operating on the EC2 instances.
Yeah, and I'm not too familiar with all of it, but no, it looks like, you know, it's virtually like almost no risk, right, of data being lost, fabricated, falsified. And there's some certifications that I didn't know about, that I learned from understanding Comake a little bit better, which is important, right? There's a lot of people like, who's storing my data, like how is it stored? And it seems like you strategically chose a solution that provides security in managing your risk, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And also the next thing I want to talk about is like the you also have a surety bond like on your transactions as well, or like if anything, if there's any issues on the packets being hacked.
Ah, yeah, we only provide the service in Korea as well because I actually have to sign up with the this insurance company, but insurance company would not like to expand their service on as a global. So if we are launching our service or on United States, we would like to sign up another
Yeah.
contract with the insurance company at United States, I guess.
Can you explain why that's important though? Like it may be in the Korean market. We'll just stick to Korea because that's where the policy is. But like that's pretty cool. Like that gives a user understanding and knowledge of like how protected they are.
And yeah, and credibility, I guess.
Credibility, yeah.
um it's it's more of the user side. It doesn't really gives a lot of difference as a, especially service provider perspective. It's just the money cow, right? So it just eats up the money every month. But just providing such a certificate is also important for the customer, especially
Yeah.
business owners, when they're actually signing the service from transferring their digital transparency, right? So when they are transfer their paper contract to the online contract, they would like to see some sort of the
Yeah.
insurance keeping their back, right? So saving their back if one of the, just if and only if, that's the probably the that's that's the reason why insurances exist in the world, right? Just 1% possibility, or even 0.0001%. If we actually provide
Yeah.
such a service, then, oh, if any kind of contract happens, if your sign is lost and any kinds of things happen, this insurance company will save your back. Then really gives the user or the client sees a lot of comfortable with
Yeah,
their money.
it's a peace of mind. It's really
Yeah,
nice. I
yeah.
mean, we're going into this digital world, and even on the smart contract side, right? There's audit firms, security firms, to make sure when I'm done with this video, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna upload it and like it could disappear. Like I get nervous every time. But
Exactly.
it's interesting, and I just wanted to highlight some of those things of which I think are important, like leveraging AWS because they've acquired various certifications that are important. You also have kind of an insurance policy a little bit, specifically in Korea. But that's still good to know that you're checking all the boxes in the sense of like why should one use your product, and what it's great. What I'm saying is you're checking all the boxes, which is
Oh
awesome for
yeah. Okay.
for
Okay.
somebody else to, why should I use Comake? Well, these are the reasons why. There's a whole list of them, and you cover all of them so that I'm not worried.
Yes, sir. That's
Yeah.
that's probably the exact reason why we are, just um I guess some sort of the mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to fill out so user can feel the fulfillment.
Yep. 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 They feel taken care of. So,
Yeah, exactly.
awesome. But we've chatted for like almost an hour, a little over an hour, and I appreciate it. I've learned so much just from speaking with you, and I think Comake's an awesome service, and I think the direction that you're taking it with legal tech and like just solving, some problems that the average user, can understand and comprehend and know how to use it. Like it's very user friendly, user centric. And not only all that, you take care of everything on the back end of any kind of doubt.
Totally. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
probably the only reason why we are providing this service global.
Exactly. So where can people learn more about Comake? Where can they get a hold of you? Are there any forums or chats? Where should they find to get more information?
Oh, if you actually click on your browser and then type on Comake.ai, then our main page really explains a lot of stuffs about the Comake. And then if you have any kind of question, you can feel free to email me, or yeah, you can chat me anytime.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, no, it's been a pleasure here to chat with you for like almost an hour. It went by so fast. It's a pleasure to meet you. Glad we were able to make this happen. And, we hope to have you back.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here. And I hope to see you again.
All right. So for everybody tuning in to Reimagine 2020, thank you for listening to Harrison. Comake, Comake.ai is where you can get more information. Look it up. I feel like every startup in the world, should be using this thing, this service. It just makes total sense on contracts, blockchain, AI, all for the benefit of the user, really. And you don't even know that you're using blockchain or AI. And that's even better because in this market, user experience UI is very it's very volatile. There are issues, but Comake, it seems to be tackling all of those for any doubters out there. It seems like a perfect solution for you to use and leverage to your liking, and they're just taking off. So that they're open to questions. Please reach out to them if you're interested, and we'll go ahead and sign off. But Harrison, again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye, everybody. You can find this on the Reimagine YouTube channel. You can find Comake and Harrison talking about this discussion. We'll hopefully you're enjoying the conference, and we'll see everybody soon.